What if the goal isn't to save the world? What if the most ethical thing humanity could ever do was to end it? Not just human life, not just Earth, but the entire universe. Would this end suffering completely? Not reduce it, not manage it, not pretend it balances out. End it everywhere. This isn't a new idea. Long before modern debates about extinction or artificial intelligence, a 19th century philosopher, Eduard von Hartmann, was already thinking on the scale of extinction of existence itself. To understand Hartmann, you have to go back to philosophical pessimism. This is the idea that existence itself is fundamentally bad. Suffering outweighs happiness, and that non-existence might actually be better than being alive. One of the biggest names behind this idea was author Schopenhauer. He believed life is driven by endless desire, and that desire means constant dissatisfaction and suffering. Most people assume life is good, or at least worth continuing. But look closer. Pleasure is temporary, suffering is constant. This isn't just speculation, and once you accept that suffering outweighs happiness, the real question isn't how to improve life, it's whether life should continue at all. But Schopenhauer didn't go as far as saying, let's end everything. Hartmann did. Schopenhauer stopped at individual escape, attachment, denial, despair. Hartmann followed the logic all the way through. Instead of focusing on individuals escaping suffering, he asked a much bigger question. What if suffering is built into existence itself? If that's true, then no matter what you do, progress, technology, happiness, suffering just keeps coming back, over and over again. If existence produces suffering, and if that suffering is unavoidable, then solving it requires more than personal withdrawal. Hartmann believed humanity would eventually become intelligent enough to see this clearly, not emotionally, logically. And when that realization spreads, the goal changes. Humanity wouldn't try to fix the world anymore. It would recognize that the real problem is existence itself. So what's the solution? Not deletion, not personal escape, not survival, not progress, but something much bigger, a final conclusion, collective realization. But here's where this thinking goes further than most people are comfortable with. If suffering is a problem, then all suffering matters, not just human suffering, not just life on Earth. Any life, anywhere, even hypothetical life. He believed that as intelligence advances, we might eventually gain the power to destroy all life, because if even one corner of existence survives, suffering starts again. Because if suffering reemerges somewhere else, another planet, another species, then nothing was actually solved, it just moved. So the scale of the solution has to match the scale of the problem. Local extinction isn't enough. Planetary extinction isn't enough. Even wiping out all life we know about isn't enough. If existence continues, suffering continues. That's why some modern thinkers look back at Hartmann and see something new. Not just pessimism, but universal extinctionism. The idea that ending suffering might require ending the entire universe. But here's a twist most people will miss. Hartmann wasn't some villain people like to imagine, planning to press a button and destroy everything tomorrow. Like Schopenhauer, his philosophy didn't demand immediate action. He didn't imagine people rushing to destroy everything overnight. He saw it as an endpoint. It was more like a prediction, a conclusion reached by sufficiently advanced intelligence, a point where continuing existence no longer makes sense because its cost is finally understood. This is what makes Hartmann's idea so unsettling to many. From this perspective, what we call progress starts to look different. It flips the usual way we think. Instead of things will get better, it asks, what if better isn't enough? More intelligence doesn't justify existence, but exposes it. And the more aware a system becomes, the harder it is to ignore what's built into it. Today, ideas like this show up in modern debates about extinction, artificial intelligence, and the future of the universe. Most people reject them, some take them seriously. But one thing is clear, over a century ago, Hartmann was already asking a question we're still not comfortable answering. If existence guarantees suffering, is it better to keep going or to stop the game entirely? I'm impressed about how far Hartmann pushed this idea, especially for his time. This was the late 1800s. No telescope showing exoplanets, no real concept of what alien life might look like, no science fiction the way we have it now. And yet, he didn't limit his thinking to just life on Earth. He was already thinking cosmically. It's kind of wild. Most people are still arguing about human morality, religion, society, very Earth-centered stuff. And here's a Victorian dude saying basically, but what about the aliens? Even today, people struggle to extend moral concern beyond humans, often even beyond their own group. But Hartmann was already stretching it out to hypothetical alien life and future forms of existence. He was definitely ahead of his time, and our time. I might do a series on this dude, so stay tuned if you're interested in that. He supposedly has many writings that can be hard to track down, and much of it hasn't been translated to English, but I'm going to try. Apparently, he has an interest in and did some criticism of the occult. I couldn't really find anything on that besides stuff about those commercialized fake spirit contact sessions in the Victorian era where they would rig the table to shake and things like that, and I don't want to spend time reading about it. But later I'll do more searching, and if I find anything in English that gets into something more deeper, then that will go onto my other channel, which doesn't exist yet. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. This is a new channel and it will help the algorithm. Thanks.